explanation. If someone is questioning your motives or why you're doing what you're doing, you don't have to explain to them, as long, obviously, as it's something you're allowed to do, obviously. But this just downloaded to me this morning. Make moves in private. Sometimes you know things others don't. You don't owe anybody a single explanation as to why. So, hi poopsies. Today's video is going to be about what my life was like in my 20s. I'm 4 months away, pretty much, until I turn 30. And, yeah, time went by, right? Didn't I just turn 28 or something? But yeah, so, before this begins, if you want more Storytime ASMR, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy my voice and it helps you sleep or relax. And check out Bomboni.com, where I'm going to shout your first name out in the beginning of a video if you book a 30-minute or an hour-long session with me. I offer so many services. That is a great, hands down, the best way, in fact, to support this YouTube channel, to keep the lights on, to help me keep going, to produce daily content for you. Alright, I'm almost done chugging through. I've been filming for 5 days straight now, and I'm pre-recording because I'm not really gonna be away. I'm gonna technically be at home, but technically away, like filming ASMR, but I'm still gonna be doing bookings during that time. So I'm not really away. But someone's coming into town, so I'm just gonna be away for a week. But again, it doesn't count because I'll still be home doing bookings. Like, yeah, so I just won't be filming ASMR videos, that's all. But yes, so I also have to pre-record again in the middle of May because I'm going to Mexico. So yeah, and that's that. So alright, but today I wanted to talk about what my 20s was like. So I guess I'll just go from 20 years old to 29 and tell you everything that unfolded and my personal experiences and what I originally thought my 20s was supposed to be like versus what it actually was. So I guess I can start chit-chatting about that first. I definitely thought that my 20s would be a lot more fun than it actually was, a lot more social than it actually was, because I was very social as a kid. As a teenager, I was always talking to people, always hanging out around people, always calling them up, texting them, video chatting, yeah, and like obsessively, like I couldn't stand being alone with my own thoughts, and it drove me nuts. And you know, as a teenager, as a kid, no one teaches you really, unless you grow up, I guess, in like a super privileged society in a super wealthy zip code. No one's gonna tell you like, hey, this is how you heal an emotion, this is how you overcome this problem, you know. It just doesn't happen, you know. And so I didn't really have those resources at the time, and I wish I did, because it made life a hell. And I suffered with like depression when I was a teenager. It was awful. Like I didn't want to be here. Like, yeah. So very dark place to be. And so basically I was like hoping my 20s would be like all healed and all healthy and all happy, but like it just really wasn't the case. It was kind of a bumpy ride. I've had on and off health stuff that, you know, thankfully went away with time for the most part, but you know, like I guess I'll do a mix of soft spoken and whisper, because again, I don't know if you know this, I filmed 24 videos in the last 4 days. ASMR videos, bookings, yeah, so my voice might be a little bit dry and spent right now. That's the only reason I don't like pre-recording videos, but anyway. And oh yeah, and working on my online course. So yeah, I've been busy, guys. But basically, I was like extremely antisocial in my 20s. I think a lot of issues that I was holding back or suppressing came more to the surface in my 20s. And discovering who I truly am surfaced, and that was very uncomfortable. And healing through a lot of crap, basically, because we go through a lot of it. And I think definitely this rings true. If you don't take care of yourself in your 20s, honey, your 30s and onward are going to take care of you. And that was a wake-up call. Because, yeah, sometimes, even like I just said, from overworking, I neglect my own needs. Even though I think I'm feeding it, because, you might be feeding your lifestyle or your wealth, or you might be supplying a need that's not actually for your best, highest self. And so I learned that the hard way through many times of burnout, another flare-up of depression when I was about 24, and just like my body screaming and crying for help through different issues I've been facing. And I discovered that a lot of it was just like a coping mechanism, working to avoid the pain, so I don't have to think, so I don't have to feel. And that's, still a practice to this day. I mean, that's still a struggle to this day, because it's like I enjoy it, but at the same time, I know that it doesn't take long for the body to deteriorate. If you do something constantly, that's just not good for you. No one is meant to work. Like at one point, I think I was going, at least 80 hours a week, at least, and you don't feel it at first, because even working from home, it's like, you don't really feel it, because you're like, okay, I'll go cook dinner. The bathroom's right there. You take the dog pee or something, but it adds up, when your mind is there and you have anxiety when you don't finish it. I definitely have that beginning of the day anxiety. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, I have so much to do and so little time, and I hope I get it done. And I get it done every time, thousands of times by now. But there's always that feeling like, oh, I'm never enough. I'm never going to get enough. So, I'm just rambling, but that's kind of where I'm at now. I feel very well accomplished. I started with $0 in my 20s, and I'm now in the six figures. I just far from where I first started, but still there's this sense of comparison, and I try not to compare myself to people, because I'm like, okay, I should compare myself to who I once was, rather than what that neighbor down the street's doing. So that's that. There's always going to be someone with a bigger house, more money, better looks, more athletic than you, and you have to just accept that. It doesn't mean you accept defeat. I think a lot of times with men, it's like an ego thing, and also it's it's in our DNA. We can't help it. It's a carnal mind thing. It's like we have to be better. We have to outcompete. Because back in the day, caveman had to supply and provide for cave woman or man. You never know. Okay, you never know how cavemen got down back then either. But it's a ego reptile brain thing, And so it's you have to do better. You have to be better. And so in my 20s, I got more serious about my physical health and exercising. And I've been exercising all my 20s. I didn't stop ever. I'm still skinny, but I didn't stop, but that's my build, I would say I'm like toned, athletic, but like I'm still skinny, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but I definitely feel like I would have gained weight if I didn't stay fit, if I didn't eat right, if I didn't be on the move, riding my bike thousands of miles by now, picking up those dumbbells thousands of times, doing my cardio thousands of times. I mean, I definitely would not be feeling as light and energetic as I do, and able to keep going and keep chugging. So, I think it's very important. I learned it's very important to take care of your body and pacing yourself, being in balance. I learned a lot of things that humbled me, that made me more mature with time, because I was just a kid, obviously, in my 20s. So basically, I can start off from 20 years old. So that was when, I was still trying to grow my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And it was a very exciting place to be. I remember still being in the apartment because we moved out of that house, and I just remember taking a picture of on my bed, I just turned 20 years old, and I posted it to Instagram. If you scroll my Instagram all the way at the bottom, you'll find it. And I was smiling, and I was hopeful, and I was in massage school, or just starting it. I was just barely doing the prerequisites. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt lost. And it's funny, I still don't know what to do. All this time later. It's funny, right? But, hey, maybe it's in my beginning 30s, I'll feel that way. Because I didn't feel like that really no, I would say on and off, I always felt that way. But you never know. Maybe by 39 years old, I'll be not feeling that way. Who knows? Hopefully not, but yeah. So, you could have direction, but still feel lost. Do you know what I mean? If you're in the woods with a compass, you know where north is, but you still are where the hell am I? That's how it feels right now, to be honest with you. And anyway, so backtracking to 20. So I didn't have anything. I barely had money in my account. I just was fresh out of UIC. I went to university and then I dropped out to pursue being self-employed. That was a risk, right? A high risk business, no money, no capital. I gave up everything to make this work, really. I was single, so it was easy. I didn't have anyone, I don't want to say to hold me back, but I didn't have anyone to tell me no, this is stupid, or, it was just, so yeah. And I was finally getting the growth I was looking for by the time I was 21. But that's kind of all I was focusing on, really, all I really cared about at the time as a 21-year-old. I just wanted to make it. I wanted my own place, my own apartment. That was always a dream. I wanted my own car. I finally got my driver's license at 21. Yeah, very late, but I was so shy back then. I was so nervous, so anxiety ridden. I had anxiety up the butt, anxiety to go to the grocery store. It was awful. And I'm so glad that went away. Gosh, I had that for the longest time. I kid you not. I think up until about 26, 27, that went away, for good. But my God, so much anxiety about every little thing, social, and just, oh gosh, about everything, literally. It was exhausting. I remember feeling so exhausted all the time, so drained all the time. So I was living on my own, and I was a hermit, guys. I hermited for 2 years straight to be able to afford that house I just sold. Like, yeah, I was like dreaming. I'm just like, I set the intention. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a house in 2 years. It's gonna take me 2 years exactly. I'm gonna buy this house, and it happened. Like, I let it go. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even dwell or reflect on it. I let it go, and it happened. And yeah, I worked fast. And so I was doing really great as a 22, 23-year-old, top 1% of my income bracket, like for my age group, I was doing great. And so I worked really quick. I worked holidays. I worked every day basically, and just hustled and just did that thing. But definitely wasn't taking care of my health. Was getting warning signs in my body at the time. I was not socializing, barely at all. I had a friend visit once in that year, and I visited them once in the next year. We spoke all the time on a video call. And then I had a one on and off kind of friend for like 3 months, and that was it. Like, no social life whatsoever. Very, very sad. And I'm still kind of like that, besides one person really. But, I'm at this point, I'm like self-love. I'm so used to it. Like, it doesn't really bother me. But back then it bothered me. I felt very alone. And yeah, so basically, all I remember 22 and 23 was working. As sad as that sounds, like, sometimes I wish I could get that time back, because it went so fast and I was so young and I didn't realize how young I was. And I'm looking back at old videos and pictures. I'm like, oh, I still have that baby face. And it's like, yeah, it hits a soft spot. It's like, you're never going to get that time back, So, I don't have too many regrets in life, but one I do have is like forcing myself to overdo it. It still gets me emotional to this day. Forcing myself to do things when I don't have to. When I was doing more than great and I still felt not enough. And that was so sad, And I never felt enough. But I know now that I am enough, even if I'm still like, I'm definitely where I want to be in life for now, for the time period I am. I can't say I'm not where I want to be in life. That's not true. But I know there's more to go to. But the patience to wait for those things to happen. It's all about patience now. And I'm learning patience instead of trying to force things to happen or rushing things to occur, right? So, yeah, I bought my first house at 23 years old. And then at 24, I went to hypnotherapy school for the whole year. In hopes to like meet new friends and people and socialize and all that stuff. That was kind of my intention. Again, it's so funny, like the power of intention is like what you start, how you make the bed is what you gotta sleep in. Like that was my intention, really. I literally set an intention to make a new friend. And I pretty much made like 3 new friends there. Got more than what I bargained for. But at the cost of, I didn't even use my stupid license, like, and so like that, yeah, that was a very, like, I was dating a lot of guys then too. Oh my god, I was going through hell. Like, I was not being treated well. Yeah, it was just not a good time at all. But you guys know I won't go into that. That's I've talked about those before. That's the past. I can't believe that was already 5 years ago, 2019, and then the insanity happened in the next year after, which changed our world forever, and we're not going back. And so I was around 25 then, and again, I just remember being home all the time. I'm like, it almost felt like everything don't know, it's still, society kind of still feels that way. It's like, what's the point, you know? Like, yeah, nothing feels real anymore. It's just like, our currency is being devalued. It's just, what's the freaking point now? You know, like, just go live your life. Go where you want to go. Talk to who you want to talk to. Really, I mean, at this point in the game, what else can you do? You know, really, I mean, there's no point to anything anymore. Go get that dream job. Go get that dream husband or wife. Like, I mean, just go after them, ask them out. You know, go to that country you always wanted to go to. Really, I mean, at this point, really, I mean, feel free, right? And yeah, people are still asking me why I sold my house. Are you for real? No, really, are you for real? Anyway, so moving on. I have to say, at around 26, I had this, like, again, this whole year to myself. I lived on my own, and I was like, self-discovery, healing, you know, eating differently. My health changed then. I had to take care of my health then. I just remember being dizzy all the time. And then I met my ex-partner at that time. Up until 27, I got to travel quite a bit, and then we cut ties, and then again 28 was like self-discovery, being on my own, working, and then the hurricane happened. Like, it was always something. It was always some drastic extreme event, like 2020, the hurricane, like the depression, the breakup, the burning out, it was always, I was always putting myself through, like, well, hurricane you can't avoid or prevent, but, like, you know, always trying to fight through these things. And I'm a fighter, definitely. Like, I may be tiny, but honey, don't underestimate me, okay? Like, I've been through it. And so, yeah, it just, like, it's hard to say, like, that all happened in a year, but, like, time goes so fast now, so it's like, not much has to happen in a year to make a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just went by so fast. And it takes such a long time to heal through bullcrap, you know what I'm saying? It takes a long time for me to overcome things and get over things in general. So it's just like, that made the time go fast, and sometimes I wish I didn't have to take so freaking long to get over stuff, or stop being mad at someone, or let go and be forgiving of someone and what they said. Like, I hold on to things, I hold grudges, I hold resentment, you know. I can be jealous, I can be like, you know, that's that. I always blame the rising Scorpio, but I gotta blame myself too, you know. But yeah, it's kind of like this very vicious cycle, and this vicious part of me that, again, the ego reptile brain is like, I'm very half and half. Like, I can be like half angel but half reptile, you know what I'm saying? And it's probably in my blood, in my DNA, because, like, my parents are both total, like, their families are total solar, like, opposites. Like, my mom's side are angelic, my dad's not so much shady people, you know what I'm saying? So I have a mix of both, so I'm like, I have to learn to accept that I'm this duality, but it's a perfect balance too, and I can work with it, I can use it to my advantage, and I don't have to focus on the bad part or the evil part of myself. I can just bring about the good, you know what I'm saying? And I think to an extent we sort of, I don't always say we all have that, because there are those families that are like perfect families, and they're like, again, and those, like, anyway, but that's who I am, and I have to accept and love myself for who I am, even though it's difficult sometimes. You know, it's very difficult to say I'm imperfect, I'm flawed, I'm this, I'm that. Because our brain consciously we don't want to accept that. But subconsciously we know. Like, we know deep down, higher self, we know, like, okay, boy, girl, yes, you are imperfect, you are flawed, but you are still loved. You still deserve to be loved. So a lot of spiritual concepts I learned in my 20s, a lot of stuff that, like, how to heal the body, learning, just constantly learning about Reiki healing, angelic healing. I remember studying on everything, studying criminal justice a bit, college and certificates and licenses and whatever, diplomas, whatever you want to call it. I'm still learning. I'm still actively learning. I'm learning along with you guys, taking motivational courses and, like, to help you get ahead, succeed in life. Like, that was a passion for a long time. And I'm still on and off with that because I'm like, I can't listen to this every day. Are you kidding? Like, I'm half and half. I'm like, I'm positive, but I'm not at the same time. I'm like, I gotta be realistic, And when someone's too positive, I'm like, that's false positivity. Like, let me tell you, ain't nobody too positive, honey. If someone's too happy all the time, there's something off there. I'm sorry. Life is too hard to be too happy all the damn time. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just true. I'm like, oh my God. I want to roll my eyes. Like, literally. Yeah. No way. I come from Chicago, honey. No, I'm a Macedonian born in Chicago. Honey, you're lucky if you get some positivity out of me. I'm just saying, like, I had to force myself. Like, I learned The Secret when I was 17, and I was, like, literally forcing myself to be like, I don't think there was an ounce of positivity in me at all. Yeah, I was a pessimist. I was the ultimate pessimist. Yeah, but like I said, I'm probably more half and half nowadays, but it's still a struggle some days. I'm like, yeah, so, but anyway, so it was learning a lot about that, learning to just be a fighter no matter what. And also at the same time learning to let go, like learning not to control. I was very much a control freak all my 20s. And learning about boundaries. I didn't even know what the hell boundary meant. I thought that meant the border between Canada and USA and Mexico. Like, I thought that's what a boundary was. And I'm like, why are we talking about boundaries in therapy? Like, what? Huh? What? I was like, what is this? I always was like, oh, this is some American crap. Like, I'm like, this is some USA bull crap here. Like, what is this? Like, we didn't learn about, So, we say in Macedonian, Amerikanska rabota, like the work of Americans. Like, we always like mock or joke, but, and I'm like, oh, this is an actual thing. And again, I was thinking in my head, like, oh, privileged Caucasians, like, that's, that's their thing, not me. But then I was like, okay, you know what? Actually, this is legitimate because my partner's now telling me that I'm having a boundary issue at 24 years old. And then so I was like, oh, and I wasn't respecting his boundaries. So then things started to make more sense, and it was very hard to admit that I had a boundary issue, but I did. I hope I'm not blowing into the mic when I do that. Like, but yeah, anyway, so and then it took me down this whole rabbit hole. Like, am I antisocial? Am I borderline? Am I a sociopath? Like, oh my God. Yeah, so I was driving myself nuts, like trying to figure out who and what I am and all that nonsense. And then, because sometimes I still have struggle to this day respecting people's, like, in general, and their boundary, like there'll always be this like attitude problem, or like, oh, they're telling me this bothers them, but I'll do it anyway because I don't care, genuinely. Like, yeah, I'm just being honest. Like, because I'm like, part of me wants to test them to be like, oh, are they going to be mad at me if I do that again, or something like that, something cynical like that. But I don't even like think about it. It's all like unconscious. Like I'm just doing it without even realizing it until I like look back. I'm like, oh, actually, I did do that, and I pissed them off. So yeah, that's why I'm not good with people. I just So, because like people have a lot of boundaries, and I learned that over the years. Like, whoa, people actually have a lot of boundaries, and it's not hard to disrespect someone. It's not hard to hurt someone's ego. It's really not hard. Like, it's actually easier for me to hurt someone's ego than to be nice to them, which sounds weird. Like, I'm a nice person, but like, I feel like sometimes I'm overly nice, and then like to the point where like eventually I have to do something to like balance that. I don't know how to explain that better, but and I'm not to the point where I'm like not even aware that I'm doing something wrong, and then I did, and I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, what I did was like so minuscule, it wasn't even that bad or a big of a deal, but you made it a big deal, and now all of a sudden we have an issue. So this is why like humans are very complex, and I struggle to understand them to this day. I really do. I'm like, yeah. So because I'm very carefree, I'm very laid back, very chill. I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I have limited boundaries, but I'm not really good. They're very flexible. So I kind of just like, I'm like, okay, I'll let you do this. Or if I have this boundary, you can cross it a bit. It's okay. I'm not really good at that. So if I'm not good at that, how the hell am I going to know what your boundary is? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm learning. Awareness is key, right? So awareness is key. But it's not something you have to heal. It's just like, you can't heal that. It's just like an awareness. It's a practice. It's like working out a muscle. Like you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over to get the point. And it certainly helps to love the person, like a family member, a lover, or a friend. Because if you don't, you're not going to respect them, period. Right? So if you love them, it makes it easier to respect their boundaries, regardless. You may not consciously understand, like, to this day, I'm like, why does this person have this boundary? It's so weird to me. It's so foreign to me. But I don't have to understand it or get it to respect their boundary, right? So that's a big, 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 like in my mid-20s, that was a huge issue. Huge issue. So, yeah. So basically, yeah, I've been with a lot of guys in my 20s, I'll be honest. Like, yeah, on and off, like, even if it's just for a day, like, yeah. So that was like something also like, okay, but I also had very long periods of not being with anyone. Like, so it was all balanced, like, I don't know. It was definitely a struggle learning to let go of the idea of a relationship in my 20s as well. I so badly wanted a relationship until I got it. Then I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm talking about a couple years ago. And, it felt forced. It felt like I had to, And yeah, although I am dating someone right now, it's different, right? It's like, I believe truly when it's with the right person, you'll know. And you won't have to ask, to be together. It'll just kind of happen. And usually when you least expect it, they say. At least they say. Not always, but at least they say. But yeah, I got through a lot, and I came out stronger and enjoying my own company more, respecting myself more, and realizing I don't have to be around other people if I'm going to end up hurting them in some way, emotionally, mentally, because if I'm not good, I can't be good with another person. And so I needed a lot of time in my 20s to be by myself and nurture my needs. So, yeah. And I learned a lot along the way through with you guys. You guys, I feel like I grew up with you. Like, I've been on YouTube since I was 14 basically, if you've followed my older channels. Like, I grew up with you guys. You know, I spent more than half my life on here filming thousands of videos. And yeah, so at 29, yes, I sold my house and now I'm here. Long story short, to answer any questions that people are still asking, I'm not going to make a whole video on it probably, but why did you sell your house and go back to renting? Oh my God. Number one, remove the financial obligation I had with my family. Number two, I'm not staying here for long, so why the hell would I buy a house here? And number three, why the hell would I buy a house with these insane prices and interest rates? Period. You might think I'm crazy. That's my reason. We all have our reasons. I don't ask you what you're doing with your time. Okay, so we can move on from the subject. Did I answer the question? I'm so bothered by it when I'm like, why do you care? Why does it matter what I do? Mind your business. I'm just saying, like, we all have our reasons. So, and I got bored. I was a homeowner for 6 years. I got bored. You know, let me be. Let me move on. You know, I don't have to do what you do. I don't have to do what everyone else thinks what's right to do. Or, oh my God, like, it doesn't make logical sense for me to buy a house if I'm not even going to be here for long. Like, literally, you know. So, I think I just got fed up. I wanted freedom. I didn't want a mortgage with someone. I just want to be on my own again. You know, I got tired of living with someone, and it drives me nuts to hear the TV. Oh my God. That TV's only here because if family comes over. Like, no one comes over but one person. Like, that TV has not been turned on since I moved here. Like, I don't like TV. I don't like noise. No. Peace and quiet, please. You know, we all got our devices nowadays, YouTube on our phone and stuff like that. I don't even use YouTube on the TV. I'm like, unless I go over someone's house, I'm like, okay, let's see what's on Netflix. Or I haven't even watched Netflix in months and months. It's a whole year. Like, yeah. Yet they still charge for the subscription. I'm just rambling at this point, but yeah, that was my 20s. Speaking up, just like I did now. I was a bit sassy and I had an attitude. I'm sorry. Sometimes things trigger me. I'm not perfect. But speaking up, I'm not afraid to speak up. In my early 20s, I would have been too afraid to say that on the camera. Now I'm not. I really don't care. I've said it all. I did it all. Nothing scares me and you don't scare me. You know? Yeah, so like I said, at this point in life, like, honey, do what you feel is best, as long as you, yeah. So, I gotta say, that was hard. That was very hard. Because when I was 20, there was a guy that was, like, doing very inappropriate things to me, in my massage class. And I kept telling him no and stop. And he still behaved that way. And so I had to report his butt. And the teacher just scolded me, actually, in return. It was like, you should have said this earlier. You have a problem speaking up and setting boundaries. And I was like, whoa. And so nowadays, if that was him doing that to me, this would have been on his throat real quick. Like, that's how much I've changed from 20 to 29. Like, yeah, you know, speaking up, empowering yourself. I'm not saying that's the answer. You know, doing that is not the answer. But I'm just saying, like, as an example, like, if someone were to try to pull something like that on me and a stunt like that on me no, you do not do that to me, okay? So, we learn a lot in 10 years, you know, and even though it goes by pretty quick, I would say, it's all for the best. Human evolution is beautiful. We are I don't even think we realize how amazing we are. But we are created so incredibly to just handle so much, all that stress, And I applaud someone who has still keep their stress lines, their crow's feet, their wrinkles. I applaud them more than someone trying to hide it. Nothing wrong with hiding it, baby. But I'm just saying, I applaud you for having them because that shows what you've been through. And that's very admirable. And that shows how much we hold on to, how much we think about. Wrinkles show a lot. They show someone's pessimism too. They show someone's years. They say the more positive you are, the more youthful you look. So that's yeah. So yeah. From being a broke college student to being here on my own. Never had more in my life. It feels good, really, but it's not everything, Still working through stuff, and basically I think it's healthy for me to now, making this video, talk to my future end of 30s self and say, hey, buddy, let me not start crying. You got through your 20s. You're going to look back on this as a 39-year-old and think you're so dumb. Or no, you're going to be, what I think you'd be? I think you would finally be someone who's not judgmental. And you'd have a husband by now, and probably a child or two. And maybe you'd have 3 dogs. And you'd probably finally have your dream home, because nowhere feels like home to your alien butt. And I want you to watch this now, 10 years later. So you can, it's weird talking to my future self, but so you can have a vision for your life for the next 10 years to come. Yes, we're moving into a crazy, weird world, and you may not understand it now. But I'm hoping you're still alive, for one, because I never thought I'd make it past 30. And that you're genuinely happy, because you struggled to feel happy for so long. I genuinely hope someone makes you feel happy. That you find balance. That you are truly at peace. That you're still giving. That you're still as generous and kind. Why is this so hard? That you realize you deserve time off. That you can treat yourself with love and respect as you are able to treat others. And I hope you have many friends. And I hope you open your heart more. No matter how someone treats you, that you can still be loving, accepting, understanding, and kind. That's all I want in my 30s. Just enjoy, travel the world, and interact with many more faces, and be open to change. Continue having compassion. Try many more new foods. Continue taking good care of yourself. Continue exercising. Get those 6-pack abs you've always wanted, even 8-pack. Those biceps you always wanted. And change it up. Change your routine. Change how you do things. That's what I want for you. And maybe you look back on this and everything hit the checklist and you start crying too. 39-year-old Tony. I hope that happens. And maybe you make a reaction video to this video. There you go. So it's important to do that, guys. Make a video like talking to yourself 5 years from now, talking to yourself 10 years. It's powerful. Set an intention. It works, I promise you. Okay. So thank you very much for watching. Oh, I think this was hard because it's like, I know people are going to be watching this and I look like a crazy fool. I look crazy sometimes. Probably like people probably think I'm crazy. Crying on camera. Because some people generally don't understand it. It's like sharing your life online is just not easy, period. Because you're going to get judged. You're going to get comments that trigger you, as you saw earlier. So they get on your nerves, but you can't take it personally because you don't really know the people watching and where they come from, their experiences, their introspections. But yeah, anyway, so thank you guys for joining me. That was unplanned, but I felt that was right, that I wanted to do that. And so yeah, remind me when I'm 39 to watch this, okay? If you're still around. Okay, poopsies. Take care now. Love and light blessings to you all. And I hope you enjoyed this story time. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed, and check TonyBomboni.com to book your own services from me. All right. I will see you all very soon. Bye.